Welcome to our meditation sometime in the middle of October. I suspect the last one before the clocks change at the end of the month. And I've got not a theme, but a phrase taken from Isaiah: "Repairer of the breach, they shall call you." And also just touching on something I've mentioned before, thinking of the difference between meditation and contemplation. As I understand it, meditation is more about letting go of thoughts, whilst contemplation is about lingering and exploring some thoughts more deeply in order to understand them. Meditation, a non-judgmental awareness versus a more in-depth exploration. But as Richard Rohr said quite bluntly, action without contemplation is the work of hamsters and gerbils. It gets us through the day. It gives us a temporary sense of movement. Whereas contemplation without action is really not contemplation at all. Concrete action in the world of relationships keeps us from a world of self-delusion about our own enlightenment. So we'll begin with our usual taking in of a deep breath, letting out. Adjusting our position, lowering our gaze, or using the image on the screen, which is a Banksy mural from Palestine, which seemed to me to go with that idea of repairers of the breach or restorers of ruined dwellings. So we come to this place, this time, and we breathe consciously, focusing on that breath as our first part with our meditation of letting go. Keeping our focus and our awareness on that breath coming in through the nostrils and out through the mouth. Using the breath in a very powerful way to focus our attention. An even greater focus achieved by counting to 4 on the in-breath, holding for 2, and counting for 5 on the out-breath. And continue with another 3 or 4 rounds of that deep breathing. And now on the in-breath, imagine breathing in that love that pervades and energizes all things. The universal love of God. which, despite what mankind does to mankind, is unchanging. And then on the out breath, breathing out anything that has been causing anxiety or worry. Not forgetting it, but breathing it out so that it doesn't have a hold. Perhaps breathing in the love of God and breathing out worries or anxieties into the care of God. Maybe using the two syllables of the word shalom, sha for the in-breath, lom for the out-breath. In other words, both breathing in peace and good relations between peoples for ourselves, and breathing it out for all. Focused on this moment, we leave anything from the past gently there and remind ourselves that any thoughts we have for the future, nothing has actually happened yet. So keep the focus on this moment. This breath. This love of God. This shalom. And keeping in that stillness, that calmness, just some further thoughts around the idea of repairers of the breach. Because today it seems as there not to be a breach in many walls. Culture wars are stoked on almost every issue. We probably find ourselves increasingly distant from those with whom we disagree. We are often sad, discouraged, even alienated from the world we live in. We yearn for breach-menders. The words of Isaiah in Isaiah 58, "Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. And Isaiah, like many of the Hebrew prophets, maintained a restorative vision of repairing the breaches in our lives and world. The task of true religion, says Richard Raw, is to rebind, re-ligio from the Latin, religion, re-ligio, to rebind that which is torn apart. But sadly, engaging the world's suffering doesn't necessarily lead us into redemption. We must caution and be careful not to be transformed into bitterness, because many leaders sadly end up bitter and angry. They become despairing and even destructive. Many warriors for justice become steeped in the skills of protest and resistance, yet they never learn the equally critical skills of pursuing new life in the gap, in the breach. We give thanks for people like Mandela and Tutu who were able to find new ways to practice radical forgiveness. And Jesus too never dominated the other. He didn't avoid the other, colonize the other, intimidate the other, or marginalize. Instead, he incarnates into the other, joins the other in solidarity, protects the other, listens to the other, serves the other, and even lays down his life for the other. Mindfulness of love asks us to acknowledge not only our fractured lives, but our broken societies as well. This has to be done with the humility and power of compassion. So some thoughts which might construe contemplation rather than meditation. You're invited to scan our nation, our planet, the natural world, and ask, where is there suffering, especially innocent suffering, that you might respond to with love? What dreams do you have of what society and the world might become? How are our daily choices and lifestyle making a difference for love? The movement Citizens UK talks of the world as it is and the world as it could be. Richard Raw equates the world as it is with power and the world as it could be with love, noting that both love and power are necessary building blocks, but that love redefines the nature of power. Power without love is mere brutality, whilst love without power is only sentimentality. Crucially, I think, power assumes that life is lived from the top down, the outside in, from enforcement. Works well on many short-term goals. But in contrast, the gospel offers us the not so clean, the long haul way of love, lived much more from the bottom up and from the inside out. And so we'll move to our longer period of silence and use that either for meditation, just noticing thoughts and letting them go, or a contemplation, maybe following some of those thoughts more deeply. And we'll be led into it with music from Salt of the Sound, a new track of theirs. Beyond these walls is where my heart lies. As I walk, help me to overflow in love, for love. Tear down these walls we built with our lives, that I would walk, that I would overflow to be loved and to love. So coming out of our silence, asking that I would overflow to be loved and to love. Closing words of a hymn as a prayer from John Bell. We cannot measure how you heal or answer every sufferer's prayer, yet we believe your grace responds where faith and doubt unite to care. Your hands, though bloodied on the cross, survive to hold and heal and warn, to carry all through death to life and cradle children yet unborn.